Hey everyone, Ray Sawvell, RaySawvell.com. In today's video, we are going to be going through the Bing UET tag, how to install it, and how to configure it. So let's just dive right in. So the Bing UET tag stands for their Universal Event Tracking, and essentially it's Bing's way of capturing audiences, conversions, and it's Bing's way of just tracking everything that they do in their platform. So in order to get there, you want to make sure you head over to your Bing Ads account or Microsoft Ads account. Go to the Tools menu in the upper right-hand corner, go to UET tag, and then you want to create a UET tag. Now, I already have a UET tag in here from a previous video, so I'm just gonna start from scratch and we're just gonna kind of walk through this process. Now, things may look a little bit different depending on what version of the interface you have. Bing/Microsoft has been testing different interfaces for different users over the past 6 months or so. So you may see something slightly different. If you have a different version of the menu, you're just going to want to look for the UET tag, which in the old interface is going to be on your left-hand menu. So if you create the UET tag from scratch, I'm just going to create one, and I'm going to name it. So I'll just call it RaySawvell.com. And then this just gives you the UET code. Now, depending on the way that you're installing pixels on your site, there's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to take you through the Google Tag Manager route, which is just ridiculously easy. Now, if you're working with a developer, you can just send them over the code. If you're using separate plugins for your website to install code and place it in the header, you may just want to place everything here, so you can literally just copy and paste it or email it just like you can with a variety of other pixels. But if you're using Google Tag Manager, the process is just so easy. So all you have to do for Google Tag Manager is, if you go over to your Google Tag Manager account, we're going to create a new tag from scratch. So if I go to Add New Tag, and I'm going to call this Bing UET Tag, I'm going to do today's date, which is the 18th. And to set up your tag configuration, luckily GTM already has a Bing Universal Event Tracking option here, so it becomes just really easy. So if you select that, and then it's just asking for your Bing Ads UET tag ID. So all this code, you don't even have to worry about placing that on your site if you use Tag Manager, which is just really nice. All you need is the ID. So if you just copy the ID, paste it over here, and then if you just tell it what the triggers are, you're good to go. Now, there are some advanced settings, like if you want to say the priority of your tags or the different event types, but for 90% of websites, unless you're working with some really custom stuff, the default option is going to at least work out of the gate. And then depending on your certain circumstance, if you're moving more advanced, you may want to consider messing around with some of these settings, but I would say for 90% of you, the default settings are going to be good to go. So the way that we want this to trigger is going to be on all pages of our site. The UET tag, we're just going to want that to fire everywhere, which is just fine. So we can save that. And then all we have to do is submit. And I will call this Bing UET 10/18/2020. And if you haven't seen my previous video, make sure you check out the importance of doing nice naming conventions for your GTM publications. So once you publish that, you're honestly good to go, because now if I go over to my website, you are going to notice that the Bing UET tag will be placed over here, because I don't even know if I have the Bing UET extension placed right now. So I'm going to cut for just a second and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so I just quickly installed the extension. There will be a link down below in the description underneath if you don't have it, but there's a UET tag helper Chrome extension which just checks to see if the pixel is installed on your website. Obviously you could look at the source code as well. But now that I'm on my website, and if I just go ahead and check with this nifty little extension here, you can see that the UET tag is firing, and I do have the page load event firing right now, which is just perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So it's going to say it's unverified for now because it can take up to 24 hours for this to begin tracking. But because I did the manual tracking on the back end here and on my actual site, I know that the UET tag is placed just fine, which is good. So now that I have the UET tag installed, I can now begin doing a couple of things with the pixel, which the two big things that you're going to want to be doing is conversion setup along with audience creation. So let me take you to the conversion setup section first. So if you go to your conversion goals, after you have your UET tags placed, You're then able to create your conversion goal, and your conversion goal is just going to allow you to say, mark a conversion inside the Bing Ads interface whenever these conditions are met. So because you aren't able to import your conversions from Google Analytics like you can in Google, you're going to want to make sure you follow the steps so all of your data is as close to accurate as possible. So depending on what your conversion type is, you're going to want to follow the following type. I'm going to take you through a destination URL section here. Now you can do event-based and duration-based, but for the most part, I would say 90% of your goal setups are going to be destination-based or either event-based. So essentially what we're going to do is build a condition in here and say, if the following condition is met, mark a conversion. So I'm just going to say contact us page, and it's going to be a destination URL. So if the following conditions are met, if you hit the following page after clicking on one of my ads, mark it as a conversion. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say it contains thank-u/html. So this is my thank you page. It contains raysawvell.com/thankyou.html. And then the goal category is going to be a, I think I'm just going to do a contact, honestly. So I'm just going to do a contact. The goal category isn't as important here. So I'm going to say the scope here is on this account. And then I'm not going to assign really any type of value right now. So I'm just going to say it equals 1. Now, if you were an e-commerce website, you would be able to say your transaction value varies. And if that were the case, you would need a dynamic variable to be passed through from your data layer to ensure that all that happens. If you don't know what that means, contact your developer, look at your website if it's like a WooCommerce or Shopify or things like that, or leave a comment down below and I can reach out and help you along the way. But for my purposes, because I am just lead generation, I'm not e-commerce, I'm just going to do this option. Say everything is all the same amount, and I'm going to count every single goal. I'm a fan of over-reporting instead of under-reporting. There's sometimes weird things with cookies if you do unique where you might miss out on a conversion, so I'd rather have the system over-report versus doing unique, so I like to do all here by default. And then my conversion window, it's just really going to vary depending on your business and based on like attributions. So if your average length of like sale, for example, or your path, like your time lag, is like 40 days, you may want to put in 40 for your number here. Now, if you're not sure what any of that means whatsoever, check out my funnel video. I'll have it somewhere on the screen here that talks about attribution and the importance of that. But by default, if you just look at 30 days, you're pretty good. And then view through, I'm just going to do 1 day here as well. I'm not a big fan of view through. If you just saw my ad, that's weak. I don't care as much. It's important for some display initiatives, but at least for majority of search campaigns that I would be running right now, I'm just going to count the 30-day click window for now. And then I want to include this information in my conversion column in Bing Ads. So you want to make sure that's checked. And then I'm going to save it. And really, it's as easy as that. Now, you're going to want to do this for all the different type of goals you have. So if you have different URLs where you want a conversion to fire, you're going to want to set that up. If you're an e-commerce website where you have a purchase setup, you're going to want to ensure that your dynamic variables get sent over for revenue. It's just going to kind of vary by really use case, but as long as you have auto tagging turned on at your account level, all the information will fire over in analytics. It's just when you're optimizing in the platform, it may not look as clean. So the last thing I'm going to take you through here, now that you have the UET tag installed and now that you have goals created, is the final thing, which is probably the best part in my opinion, is audiences. Now, I have a whole bunch of videos on my channel about audiences, so make sure to check those out, but I'll have a link somewhere on the screen. But now that you have the UET tag installed, you can create your remarketing audiences. So you can say if people have been to my website in the last 30 days, in the last 90 days, bid up on them, or I can do remarketing on Bing, things like that. So I can make very specific audiences here. So if I just said like all website users over the last 90 days for my remarketing list, I can just kind of define that. So I can say my Bing pixel here, I can say visits of a page. So really I can just do like any page. And then I can just do this. So it just contains anything on my website. So just the / there. And then I can just say over the last 90 days. And then if you really want to be good about it, if you're working with a bunch of other people in your account, be courteous and label. So you can just say all users, 90 days, and then I can save it. So now what just happened here is I just made a all website user audience over the past 90 days that I can begin to overlay on my search accounts. Now, If you don't know what that means and the power of that, really check out some of my other videos. But essentially what I can do is I can not only target those people on remarketing campaigns, but on my search campaigns themselves, I can go to the audience section here, create an association with that audience, and I can say, if you've been to my website over the last 90 days and you're searching for one of my target keywords, let's increase my bid percentage. Let's be a little bit more aggressive over that audience. Like, it's just several buying signals that's just giving the system more information to really optimize towards conversion. So really take advantage of that, and then you can really begin to pump up those audiences specifically. Like you see here, I have my all website users over the past 90 days. So you're really able to kind of like tweak around with your settings and make a variety of audiences for not only remarketing purposes, but for, they're called RLSAs, for overlaying on your search campaigns as well. So really, really, really check that out. Now, if a lot of that sounded foreign to you, don't worry about it. By just having the UET tag and a conversion goal set up on your website, you're ahead of like 70 to 80% of the game out there. But you can really take your game to the next level by doing some of these audience creations and just really being diligent about that. So feel free to check out a couple of other videos on my channel. I'll have them posted in the on the screen somewhere along in the description, so make sure to check that out. But as always, if you have any questions, definitely let me know, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, thanks. Bye.